We're gonna keep it simple. Pass the baton so everybody can hear you.
I'm Michelle McCarthy. I supervise Suffolk MHOP. That's me.
Are we standing? We're not standing. Hi, everyone. Hello. I'm Karen Duncan, and I'm the internal training coordinator and the internship coordinator. So good morning.
I'm going to stand. I'm a stander. Good morning, everyone. I'm Michelle Moore. I am clinical administrator over ACT community team and case management in Suffolk. So that entails adult mental health case management, ID, not waiver, and early intervention.
Good morning, everyone. Vonda Warren Lilly, clinical administrator in Suffolk. I oversee prevention and the Suffolk SCIP program.
Yeah, let people see ya.
Hello, everyone. My name is Justina Lambert, and I'm the clinical services administrator for Smithfield Alawite. I oversee that clinic. There's MHOP, there's case management, and SCIP over there.
She forgot for a minute.
It's easy to do. I'm not scared of the microphone anymore now.
Ah, that girl. That's the way.
Right. I'm Heather Parks. I am the program manager for MHCM and CCM in Smithfield, Isle of Wight, and currently serving as the SCIP CM Isle of Wight manager right now at the moment.
Wow.
Good morning. My name is Landria
Am I
Edwards.
standing?
She's on the crutch.
Oh.
She didn't bring it. She's being hard-headed.
My name is Landria
All right, you want us to
Edwards.
lift you up?
Yeah. I am the SCIP OP manager for Suffolk.
Sure.
Good morning. My name is Dolores Shaw, and I am the program supervisor for SCIP Suffolk. I don't
Right.
sound good on mic. Sorry.
She's holding the mic here and talking into the bottle of water. I am the. Very good.
All right. Good morning. My name is Shakia Williams. I am a SCIP CM manager for Suffolk.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Marshall Williams. I'm the program manager for the case managers for Franklin and Southampton County.
Excellent.
And yes, I did the training.
Good. Welcome.
Good morning. I'm Kathy Manier. I'm the licensed clinician for the ACT team at Saratoga Street.
All right.
Good morning. My name is Lene Ford, and I'm the program manager for the Suffolk Case Management Team.
Excellent.
Hello, I am Shay Williams. On the email it is Shalonda Williams, but please call me Shay, and I am the clinical supervisor for ACT Cove and CCSU.
Good morning. My name is Yolanda Daniel, program manager for CCSU. Oh, we're supposed to stand up. Sorry.
Good morning. I'm Loria Sandoval, and I'm the program manager for the CTH.
Good morning. I'm Raven Parlett. I'm the nursing manager for the CTH.
Good morning. Good morning to everyone this morning.
Good morning.
My name is Aisha Perry. I am the FFT site supervisor here at Western Tidewater. Also, I'm like a liaison for all contractual services billed to AMI Kids, but now it will be evidence-based associates. So good morning.
Good morning.
Well, who wants to go behind that? Good morning. I'm Latrice Stubbs. I'm just here. I'm the LE clinician with FFT.
Morning.
Good morning. My name is Keisha Bond. I work in MHOP in Franklin, and I'm a clinician 3.
Good morning. I'm Chelsea Jefferson. I oversee the OP program in Franklin, the SCIP program, as well as the ECCS program.
Acting administrator.
Yes, acting administrator for Brittany.
Good morning, I'm Brandon. I'm the Associate Executive Director, and I'm just really proud of all the people in the room. I don't really do any work here. I just get to take credit for all the good work you do.
Good stuff.
Good morning. I'm Bedora Johnson. I'm the clinical supervisor for Burst and Gero.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Kia Edwards. I'm the program manager for Gero Community.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Harrell, and I'm with the criminal justice programming.
Right. Good morning. My name is Tiffany Weeks, and I'm the new team leader for the ECCS program and also a SOAR case manager.
I'm Patrice Owens, the licensed clinician and team lead for first episode psychosis program.
Excellent.
Hey y'all, I am Megan Ross. I oversee SDA triage and capacity.
Thank you, Megan.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Deborah Hall.
You can tell she was a game show host at some point.
There you go. And I'm the supervisor for the first episode of psychosis program. And under that program is case management, mental health skill building, outpatient, and some other things that I'm probably not remembering right now. But good morning. First episode of psychosis program, because of the stigma of mental health, we called it the life management program.
Right.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Sheila Nickens. I supervise the ACT-PACT large team at the agency, and I also oversee the NGRI program.
Could you say that real fast? 3 times. I know we keep changing things.
Good morning, I'm Sharon Lampman. I work as a SCIP clinician in Isle of Wight County.
Welcome.
Morning, my name is Charlie Rhea, and I'm also an LE clinician at the Smithfield branch, and I'm with the Integrated Care Program.
Excellent.
I'm Sarah Matthews. I am a case manager, Skip Isle of Wight, newly appointed team lead.
New blood, new blood. That means we're gonna have to pick on her extra today.
Good morning. I'm Elizabeth Best. I'm the manager of the ACT.
Sorry. Good morning. My name is Katrina Faison Crew. I'm the LE clinician with ACT Cove.
Excellent.
Good morning. My name is Logan Ellington Harrison. I'm clinician 4 with PSR.
Good morning. My name is Darylyn. Happy Friday. I am the clinical supervisor for the PSR program specialized at Godwin and Pierce.
Hi, my name is Tiffany Moore. I'm the generalist with the ACT program.
And new.
Community.
Very new, right?
Yeah.
Very new.
My name is Richard Turner. I'm a clinician team lead with SDA.
Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Cassandra Bradford, and I'm the same-day access manager.
Good morning. My name is Yolanda Gill, and I'm the supervisor for Youth SAIOP. We have openings 13 to 18, so send us some referrals.
Good morning. My name is Trevor Weaver. I'm the ACT Community Case Manager.
Good morning. My name is Latasha Flood. I'm a team lead case manager at ACT Code.
Excellent.
Good morning. As we all know, Western Tidewater love acronym. So I don't know what half this stuff y'all talk about is. But I am Nicole Wilkins. I am LE Clin 3 with the Suffolk team.
Very good.
My name is Janaea Smalls. I am an LA clinician with MHOP.
Good morning. My name is Candy Castine. I am the hybrid manager, which oversees a bunch of different departments.
Good morning. Tim Howell with the Criminal Justice Adolescence Program.
Welcome, Tim.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Charles. I am the ops manager for the Sergeant Fox Suicide Prevention Grant Program.
Excellent. Excellent. Welcome, guys. Before I forget, Nicole and Darylyn presented to a group already, casework, and I'm going to pick on them later to just share what their experience is like so you guys have a better idea on what it's going to be like for your staff. Yeah. The sharing part or about what it was like? Yeah, okay, good, good. I'd also, before we actually get started, I want to thank Karen for helping us get set up and all the stuff that we've done. If you give her a round of applause. Thank you, Karen. All right. We're going to take it slow, but move fast. I want you to be comfortable enough to be able to stop and ask questions. The reason why that's important is two parts. First of all, you could hear there's a lot of talent in this room. There's also a lot of different programs. And how things translate to each and every one of your staffs is going to be a little bit different. So we'll be walking through some of that, not necessarily today, but we will be working through it to make sure that it fits best for you. Okay? What we can do in a program that's got a group of folks that have been working together for years. Hear me? I think that's me. Yeah, I turned it off. Okay. Working with a group of 10 or 12 staff is one thing. When you talk about a program like SCIP, where you've got, scores and scores of folks, it's going to be a little bit different. The other reason I want you to stop and interrupt and ask questions is because you are going to be thinking about what we're covering today a bit differently. It isn't sitting and hearing it and saying, okay, what did I pick up from this? You're going to be turning around and training on this material. So when your responsibility is to teach certain curriculum, material, a model, a way of working, and that's something that you're going to have as a primary role, which we'll talk a lot more about. It's a little bit different because you have to be thinking about not just how I feel about it, but what is the experience for the staff member or the person that is actually participating as an audience member. Okay? Maybe it is because maybe it's the jacket rubbing against it. Okay. So far, so good? All right, let's see. All right, so we're going to get into a habit where every time you meet, you're going to be working off of a certain agenda. And we'll talk more about this. It'll make a little bit more sense. But basically, it'll always have three parts. And every time we meet, it'll have three parts: business and housekeeping, clinical practice, and case presentation. Okay? In terms of some housekeeping stuff, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to walk through the model of basically group supervision that you're going to be doing with your staff. Okay, we're going to talk about what does that really mean? How do you actually do it? So you don't feel, you've got to sort of wing this stuff. That's not what we want, although winging is important. It's how you actually improve what you do. The question is, do you feel comfortable enough, or is the circle that you're with comfortable enough for you to make mistakes? If you don't feel comfortable with the group that you're working with, you're not going to try stuff. And the same thing is true for your staff. So if they don't have a chance to try new stuff, they're either always using the old stuff or they're making their mistakes with their clients. So we want to make sure that we have a chance to experiment. We're going to go through some stuff, and then we're going to break up into our training groups. I don't know why I did that. Who's got is Andrew here? Let me see. No, that's okay. It's on the presentation. No. Huh? Yeah, no, that's not what it is. Let's escape. Let's go out of, oh God. Slideshow. All right, the time, for some reason, the using the timing stuff went on. Okay. Okay. All right, we good? All right. So then we're going to break, we're going to work out and breakout sessions. We've got 5 groups. 2 are going to meet here. One's going to meet next door in the whiteboard room, and 2 are going to meet in one of the 2 group rooms that are basically around the corner. And this way you're going to actually get to sit down with that smaller group, which is going to be the group that you're going to actually be working with month to month. And again, it's okay if this stuff doesn't make sense yet. That's what we're going to be walking through. The guidebooks. Oh, before I forget, I'm going to pass this around. Please sign that you're here so we can make sure that those folks who couldn't attend today, we're able to get them the material, and if we need to, be able to make sure we walk through some of this. It's really important that you sort of get it the first couple of times because it's a lot of responsibility. You're going to see it's so much easier than you might think, but it's just a question of understanding what your role is more than anything. Okay? Nobody here is expected to be some great expert in counseling and psychotherapy. That's not really what it will take. If you can point your finger, you can do this. Because basically, instead of you being a genius, you're going to say, well, why don't you tell me what you think? How about you? You tell me what you think. So if you can do this, you're gold. All right? Okay. You're also going to see when we talk about your staff presenting that they're going to be very, very nervous and scared about what the expectation is. And as Nicole and Darylyn found out, really no pressure. They just had to show up, give a little bit of background information, and the group itself did all the work. And that's really what we're going to be talking about today, how the group does the work. Now, these are ones we had printed up for a while ago, these guidebooks. This is a ridiculous amount of information, but it's available to you as Stephanie's laughing. Why are you laughing? Are you picking on my stuff? It is extremely detailed and in-depth clinical theory. And it's really provided more as a way for you to look at certain parts of it if you want to understand the practice of counseling and psychotherapy a bit more. It's a lot of information that's really been sort of honed down to a number of slides. You can't actually present this stuff on, I mean, you can't read, you can't put a slide like this up in a, nobody can read this crap. Right? It's not meant for that. It's really meant to study, to read, if you want to hone up, if you want to catch up. And the reason for that is because teaching is the best way to actually learn how to do counseling. When you have the responsibility to teach some other people, you're going to make sure you know what your material is. Now, almost everybody here has done clinical supervision or been part of clinical supervision. But it's a very, very different experience when you start getting into ideas that may not be just as everyday as what people already come to the table with. And they want to understand, well, where does that come from? Why does that work? Why does that work? Right? Everybody here knows motivational interviewing. Everybody here should know why it works. How do you use contracting, which is motivational interviewing, to be able to do something different? Each and every session that you have is a little bit different. So what we're going to really be doing is looking at how to make our work better and better over time. And again, we're going to talk about that in a minute. There's at least one of these for each pair. And we're going to order some more because of course we've already changed this a few times. And we'll send it out electronic version as well. Okay, and I welcome you. We don't send it, I never send it out in PDF. I always send it out either as a link so you can go to the actual PowerPoint, or if it's small enough as the PowerPoint so you can cut and paste. All right, it's important that you tailor whatever you want from it if you're going to be working with your staff about saying, okay, well, you know, here's an idea. We're not going to cover all of this stuff, but there's a piece of it I want to cover because of an issue that came up. And again, we're going to talk about how does that really work? And what should we expect that to look like? So there's one for every pair for now. It's a good way to start, to just have that. Don't worry about going through it. What you're going to find is that the way we're going to approach this is going to be very, very normal and fun. And you'll get a tape for it today. You're not expected to become experts. You're expected to learn from the experience that we create on a monthly basis. And that's what builds your power as a clinician. You don't go to a training and hear about something really cool. Is that helpful? Of course it is. but that's not the same continuous learning experience that really is necessary to make a real change in the way we approach our work and to change the way we're going to impact staff. And again, we'll talk about that in a second. The other thing I wanted to just mention, so you know it's coming to a theater near you, is the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services is working on what's called STEP Virginia. Everybody's heard of STEP Virginia, painfully so. There are 9 steps, but one of the things they're really focused on is evidence-based practices. So, you know, we all ran out and started getting training on EMDR, DBT, a bunch of other stuff, more alphabet soup stuff. But at least you probably have heard of that. Assuming everybody's heard of CBT, right? Okay, good. It's good stuff. But DBT is a little bit more complicated. Who knows something about DBT? Dialectical behavioral therapy. Anybody know anything about it? Who has done EMDR? Okay. So EMDR, is this something that everybody else in the room can do? Because it's a proprietary model, which means you got to pay somebody to go to the training, get certified, and get recertified and recertified and recertified. So that's great if you've got some people that are going to specialize. And we want that because our EMDR trained folks have gone in to consult with other people's cases, which is really cool. But that's not the same thing as everybody in the agency being trained. So DBHDS, Department of Behavioral Health, really is pushing big for evidence-based practices, and they've narrowed them down to 4 that they're going to require for all community service boards. So there's no escaping this. 2 of these are actually therapy models. They wanted to pick 4 therapy models. They actually ended up picking only 2. They didn't realize the other 2 are actually not models of therapy, but they're parts of our field. So they picked CBT. Everybody here knows CBT. And probably what we'll do is actually start a whole training again for everybody around CBT. And then we'll look at some offshoots, like CBT for trauma, like CBT psychosis for those who are working with cognitively impaired. Okay, but we're going to build on CBT because everybody who's gone through, is there anybody who's never learned some things about CBT? See, everybody here. It's at least heard enough about it. How about Bowen? Who knows Bowen here? Right? 2 people. Who knows Adler here? 2 people, right? It's very different, but everybody's been trained in CBT. So that's the reason why 40 community service boards picked it. And what we're going to do is we're going to build on that. All right, so that's number 1. The second one, solution-focused brief therapy. Has anybody ever done solution-focused brief therapy? Okay, how many sessions is it? That's a lot. How many sessions is it? Okay, so solution-focused therapy is an incredibly intense way of working. But the average number of sessions are 5 to 8. Now, I don't know about you, but when most people come, our clients come, and you tell them, you know what, we're going to be meeting for 5 more meetings. And they're like, huh? The problem with that, there's good stuff and bad stuff. The good stuff is, if I've got an immediate crisis, then getting us organized to resolve that problem is huge. And it's basically what everybody does anyway, no matter what kind of counseling you do. The bad part is, if I know I'm only going to meet with you for 5 meetings, I'm going to self-modulate what I share. I'm not going to tell you about stuff that may be really important to me, but I'm going to feel I can't really get this stuff out because you're going to run off on me. You calling it quits before I get rolling. But they picked that because they figure, oh, this is genius. We'll get everybody to do it, and we'll get more people in the door. Right. The problem with that, the other problem with that is every time somebody gets outpatient therapy for CBT, how many assessments are there before you can start this? Huh? Well, one was right. We're all doing a comprehensive needs assessment. You get an assessment one time as a client, and you can start this. And you can work 12, 15, 25 sessions. The problem is if you do this, in those same 25 sessions, if you're working only 5 sessions apiece, you're seeing 5 clients. So not only is that a lot of burnout for the clinician, but you also have to have people doing 5 times more assessments. At the same time, it's an excellent model for what work that we do here. Who can name the work that we do here? That's an excellent. What are you doing? That's my butt was. Who can name the work that this is excellent for? Crisis. Absolutely. Yeah. Because when you're thinking crisis work, you're thinking 1, maybe 3, no more than 5 meetings. And you're already doing it. You're already organizing and narrowing it down. So somebody says, well, can I talk about, what happened when I was 5 years old? You're like, no. No, we got to get you a house. We got to get you a place to live tonight. That other stuff would be good, but first you got to get a place to live tonight. All right, because you ain't coming home with me. So it's got its place. So we're going to use it, and it's good to be trained in it. And I'll tell you why. Who can guess why it's good to be trained in brief solution-focused therapy, even if you're not doing it for crisis? Good. Why? Give me a good reason. When most people come for therapy, is it because there was nothing on Netflix and they were bored, so they decided, you know what, I'm going to come see you instead? Why are they coming to you? Solutions, but they're typically in more of a crisis. There's more of a sense of urgency. So in a way, every time we start counseling, we're doing a little bit of that kind of thinking. Yeah. There's another important reason. Who is an approved clinical supervisor here? Raise your hand. 2 years. Okay? Do you ever go in to one of your supervisees' cases and work with their clients? Have you ever done that? Has anybody ever done that? So when you got one meeting to go in and help the client and the counselor sort of go, okay. You got to be able to real fast, real fast. Right? Makes sense? All right, so we're going to get into this, but we're going to use it smart. The third one was motivational interviewing. Everybody's heard of that? In the old days, before they had a fancy word or term for it, we called it contracting. Right? Motivational interview. Why are you here? What is it you want to accomplish? How motivated are you for this change? Do you have any clue, young lady, what it's going to take to climb that mountain? You think you got the energy for it? Let's get into what actually you're going to have to do to become a millionaire, to be a rock star. Because people don't know. And as they begin to understand what is the investment they have to make, how difficult it might be to achieve the very goal that they believe is going to relieve them in life, they start to say, well, she ain't that bad. She put up with me for 40 years. She can go another couple of years. So we start reevaluating. That process of reevaluation, how often do you do that in counseling? Once? Twice? Every meeting you should be doing that. So when you start thinking about how is this working? Am I pushing too hard? Are we okay? Are we on track? Did we get off track? You're constantly doing this to keep refining your assessment and your treatment planning. Very important, right? So motivational interviewing helps us understand the basics of that. All right, good. So this is a strategy that should be part of every counseling model. ASAM is a whole other thing. Because you guys know ASAM is not a strategy in counseling. It's not an approach or model of therapy. What is it? Yeah. So, okay. It helps me understand assessment, but does it really help me understand treatment? I know you need this. I don't know where you can get that. I don't know who can provide it. It's important, though. So we're going to grab onto that for a different reason. How many of your staff are very well trained in SA work, substance abuse treatment? Raise your hand if you think your staff are excellent in substance abuse treatment. I would expect that. You have a primarily jail population. Yeah, recovery court. Yeah. So what you learn, because I started as an SA clinician, is that SA is really MH. So people are self-medicating because of their pain. There's other reasons. It's a good way to say, I can control myself. It's a good way to say, F you. It's good for lots of things. It's a good way to aggravate your parents, for sure. You become an addict. I mean, that's how I did it. But what it'll do is it'll help us become more in tune with substance abuse work, which our field is terrible at here in Virginia. So the reality is we have no choice. DBHDS is going to require that we provide these. So when you're stuck with something, you decide, what do I do with the lemons? I'll make lemonade. So we're going to use that to our advantage. But you don't need to worry about that yet. Okay? Don't need to worry about that yet. I just want you to get a sense of where we'll be going. All right, then we're going to be talking about this today, and then we're going to look at some case presentations. So let's get started. Any questions before we start rocking and rolling? Okay. All of this is about developing our staff as counselors. Everybody does counseling. This idea that you have to be an OP clinician to do counseling is misinformed bigotry. If you're a DSP and somebody comes to you and says, I'm sad, and you talk to them, you're counseling them. If you're a case manager saying, you know what, every time you do this with your roommate, this is why he breaks your stuff. You counseling. Everything we do here, you've heard of trauma-informed care, which everybody thought was, I'm going to learn how to be a trauma therapist. That's not what it is. The whole agency gets trained on it, including front desk folks, finance folks, HR folks. So when you work with people, it's good to know. So everybody in our agency, all our staff do counseling. The question is, how good are they at? So if everybody's doing it, it isn't as simple as, I ain't got to worry about it. She's taking care of it. You got a problem? No, don't worry. She's right here. I'll take you right to her. No. It's a question about how do you lift the whole boat, right? So that's really what we're focused on. And what's important is we need continuous skill development. Not go and spend all this money to go get a training and you come back, hey, it was really cool. We had a good lunch. I got to see Mary. I haven't seen Mary. Oh my God, you never bet. She's got a baby now. She's got kids. Her kids are 3 years old. I mean, that stuff's important. And every time, if you get, I learned this from my father. I learned lots of how not to be a father from my father. But the one thing I did learn well from my father is he said, if you get one thing out of a book, it was worth the price of it. So that's true of training. You go to training, if you walk away with a couple of things, that's great. But that's not what we need. What we need is continuous training to build on, to build on, to build on. That takes time. So we've come up with a way to do that that will be very familiar to you guys. It's really just called clinical supervision. But we've got some ways to make it much more targeted. So 3 things we're going to focus on as an agency to get our staff skills better. We're going to learn the Socratic team method of group counseling. That's where you guys train your staff. We're going to sponsor complex case staffing. Has anybody ever sponsored complex case staffing? Okay. If you're asking yourself now, is she thinking me? You right. You greatest fear coming through right now. Yeah. Because see what it says here? Manager cohort led. So who's a manager here? Who did you bring to be your co-facilitator today? The chair. Okay. All right. So you guys will be responsible for taking this model and doing this with your staff, right? Yeah. I know you got it covered. Yeah. 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 Get comfortable with that chair. Put your feet up. You're going to be partners for a long time. Yeah. Yeah. So you guys are going to be responsible for doing this model, but people have problems with cases periodically, no matter what program you're working with. And it's great if you can get that help from your supervisor. But if it's a very complicated case and you want input from somewhere else, where do you go? You go to what we call complex case staffing. That's where you present the case and get guidance from somebody who's outside of your program, a fresh set of eyes. That's all it is. So who's going to be doing that? Sheila left. She's like, yeah, that's good. Yeah, he's right. Yeah. Guess who's going to be doing that? Yeah, Sheila. Yeah, Sheila will be holding a complex case staffing. You know who else will be? You. And you. And you. And each of you. Let me tell you something. If you want a diarrhea moment, it is when you are sitting there saying, oh man, I've got 6 people coming to a meeting to talk to me about a case I know nothing about. I don't even know these people. Worse, one of them is a psychiatrist. It's all good. It's all good. And you're going to learn why it's so easy. We're going to do that. There's a magic to all of this. Remember what I said earlier? If you can do this, you can do this. So you got to remember, okay? Because the resources, the talent is in this room. I don't have to be a genius. I don't have to know everything. How many people are here? Somebody take a wild guess. How many people are in this room? 50. Let's say 50. Okay. If I don't know what to do, if you don't know what to do with something, what do you do today, today's world? You millennials, centennials, who? You Google it. You go to Reddit. You go to this. You go to that. And what do you get? More opinions than anybody wants. Right? So if I've got a problem here with a case, I'm not sure what to do, I can pose the question and get 50 opinions. So you say to yourself, well, are all those opinions of the same value? Oh, that's a good question. Thank you for asking. Not necessarily. So how does that work? Anybody have a... Somebody gives you 50 different directions to go in. Yeah, it might make you more confused. Are they all equally the same and good? I don't know. I'll tell you what I do know is what really is going to matter is the one you feel you can pick and go with. Because if you've got some genius idea, but you can't do it, it's useless. What good is it? You're trying to be somebody or something you're not. So you have 50 different ways of going, and you say to yourself, oh, that seems that. No. That's got Demetrius written all over it. I ain't doing that. These 3 or 4, I could do that. Okay. Yeah, I could see myself doing that. I can see myself doing that. And what happens is you become it. You become it. Pretty simple, right? Okay. The third thing is special topic seminars. Now, we are going to pick on the OP department to start with this. And what they're going to do is they're responsible. Damara, where are you, Damara? There you are. Damara and her folks are responsible for the regional outpatient training work that we do with the other 8 CSBs in the region. She's also going to be developing the resources to be responsible for all the clinical training that we sponsor as an agency, both the regional stuff and the in-house stuff. I mean, she's going to do it all. I use my words carefully. She's going to be responsible for sponsoring it. All right. Now, if at this minute you're asking yourself, does he mean me? If I asked you to present something today or tomorrow that you feel comfortable with and sufficiently expert at, give me the title of what your presentation would be. Okay. What would it be on? Okay. All right. She's still in the box trying. Okay. All right. She'll come up with something. And I bet it'll be around SA. And I bet she'll teach something that I don't know because she knows more about it than I do. I've got a youngster who's having their first psychotic break. I bet I know somebody who can tell me a lot more than I know about that. And I think I've got some juice behind me. But you can't be brilliant or experienced or knowledgeable about everything. So the question is, how do we tap into what we've already got and be able to do it? Why is that important? Well, honestly, when you teach, your practice gets better. Everybody here does program supervision. Does that not help you understand the mechanics of providing the service better? Who here is a clinical supervisor? Do you not learn more about counseling as you supervise? Yeah. Anybody ever hear of peer supervision? All right, so let me make sure I understand it. There's 2 people in here who are clinical supervisors. Has anybody here ever had a problem with a case and you didn't ask a fellow coworker or a peer? Not a peer, meaning a colleague. Another manager, another counselor, another anything. Yeah. 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 Yeah, you know what? You'll be doing it next week too. That's how this works. Yes, spread the wealth. Yes, 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 spread it. Yeah, yeah. We're We're in a farming community. We know what spreading it out means. All right, so these are the 3 layers that we're going to be doing with all staff on top of. This is just basics. What we're also going to be doing, of course, is specialty stuff around CBT, around solution-focused brief therapy, around what else? Very good. Very good. And the 4th, what else? Yeah, very good. Very good. Okay. So let's get started. We're going to be training on the Socratic team case supervision model. It's a case supervision model. We're going to keep it simple because this works, but it's a little bit different than what you already are experienced with. Now, some of you were in a room where we covered this before a few months back. The difference is you're thinking about it now because then you came and you was like, oh, okay, yeah. Well, I fell asleep a couple of times, but they had to do lunch. And Demetrius was okay. He keeps droning on and on. I'm just glad he didn't pick on me. What's different now is you need to understand the basics because you will be doing this. Now, you'll be co-facilitating. You don't want to freak anybody out, have you do it solo, but you'll be co-facilitating. What's more is you will be looking at your group, meaning your own staff program, and saying, you know what? This person has the potential to also become a co-facilitator. And we're going to try and lift other people up because it's one thing to learn counseling, but what we also have to do is help those people who can also learn about clinical supervision, how to be better at supervising and advising others about casework. Easy. Let's go. What is a Socratic team? It's a complex case staffing. Anybody never participate in a complex case discussion or staffing? Maybe you've not termed it that way. FFT. Aisha, where are you? Okay. Every one of your meetings is a complex case staffing. Packed. Every one of when you got a client, it's like, what are we going to do? Demetrius is off it again. He's off his meds. He's ranting and raving and burning up the asphalt. What do we do? Who's going to do what? That's a complex case staffing. Right? It's where you sit around with other counselors and you talk about what's going on. And you may not realize it, but there's actually very specific skills that you're employing. So I want to make sure that everybody understands this is what we're all going to be doing. It's the using casework presentations, using cases. Like one of your staff says, I got to talk about this case. I got to talk about Demetrius. There he goes again. And you say, all right, let's talk about Demetrius, figure out what to do with him today. Okay? What you're actually doing is you're discussing that case, and you also have an opportunity to inform and instruct your staff. That's clinical supervision. That's all it is. So, Stephanie, you took the clinical supervisor training. You're approved with the Board of Health Professions. Logan, so are you. Would you say that you have to be incredibly smart and clinically sound to take that course, that class? I would say no. No, I don't mean you guys, but basically it's like a class for idiots. It's very boring because it's so, this is it? It's like you go to, it's like, oh, yep, I got class on that today. I'm going to come out of this and be able to put my paperwork in with the Board of Health Professions. Then you get there and it's like, this is it? I don't feel any smarter. And the reason for that is just the way everybody's doing counseling. It's just a question of how good you are at it. Everybody's doing clinical supervision. Question is, how do you get better at it? Okay? And that's what we're going to be doing. Yeah. All right. So what's a Socratic team? The goal is to create a classroom-like experience for continuous knowledge and skill acquisition. Ooh. The objectives: foster critical reasoning, brainstorming, and collaborative problem solving. Hey, Martin, welcome. We got a spot right here for you. It's unbelievable that you should walk in at this very minute because I was looking for a volunteer. Martin has I don't know, she's got the problem. She's working with me on casework. So I'm her clinical supervisor. And to practice and refine clinical methods through role play and enactment. Uh-oh, that's where it's going to get spooky. Now, these are you guys, right? I don't know if this is the most recent list, but this should be what we look like. We may have tweaked a couple of things, but basically we have 1, 2, 3, 4, what we call training cohorts, basically just groups. Here's how it's going to work. This group is going to meet as a group. And when we have breakout session today, if your name is in here, you're running off with Karen. You don't want to run off with Samantha because she's in labor right now. Unless you know Lamaze, I'm going to do a lot. Same thing with Michelle. So let me see where these were. Karen, where are you, Karen? Stand up. Let's let people see ya. That's Karen. So you'll see if you're assigned to Karen's group, you're going with Karen. Samantha's out today, so Karen and I will be buddying up. Justina and Michelle, where are you guys? Stand up. Come on. Come on. Get the let out. Justina, Michelle, they're going to be co-facilitating this group. Brittany and Damara. Brittany, I haven't seen you today. I've seen Damara. So Damara, you're going to be solo today? Okay. And Michelle Moore and Vonda, where are you? There they are. Right there in front. And they're going to be co-facilitating this. Okay? Now, what that means is every month, because this is going to be a monthly experience, which is not too bad. Every month you meet for 3 hours as a group. Every month you meet for 3 hours as a group, as a group, as a group. Okay? And what we'll do during that time is talk about casework. Now, we're going to talk about how to organize that in a way that periodically all of us can come back in the same room like we are now and do something special. Okay? And you'll see why that all makes sense as we keep rolling through this. So that's us. Isn't that cool? It's called the transition. I try and avoid it, but I got some checkerboard stuff, and this one falling down, this one going up. It's like, woo! The best one is origami, where it all crumples up into a little bird and flies away. All right. So I mentioned this is a train-the-trainer approach. So I want you to get how we're building the foundation here. We've got 3 groups. The first is a group of folks that are working as lead clinical trainers. Can I ask them to stand up? Again. Come on. All right. Then just stand for a minute. Turn around, face these guys. Come on, don't be so shy. All right. These guys have already been trained on the model and have started to work it. Okay? They're actually, in a way, they're your colleagues, they're your peers. So in a way, this is peer-led. And that's one of the nice things about it. Okay? The only difference is they've already been meeting as a group and going through some of this stuff and looking at cases. Now, I know that we have a couple of folks here that presented a case. Nicole and Darren, where are you? Okay. Could you maybe stand up and just mention what your experience is like working with this group? That was the hardest part, is just get. Huh? How did you find the experience? Did you find it helpful? Daryl? Well, you were a little, if I remember, you were a little nervous. Well, oh, I found her sprawled in the hallway. She had passed out, and I said, "Are you all right?" She says, I got to present today. Thank you, Daryl. All right, so these guys are meeting with me monthly. They will be co-leading these groups monthly. Okay, so I want you to just get this part here, why that works. This group is meeting monthly as a Socratic team to discuss casework. You guys will be meeting as a monthly group to discuss casework. You will be meeting with your staff on a monthly basis to discuss casework. Make sense now? Okay? It's just the same process being mirrored at different places. The advantage these guys have, because which one of you guys right now is a clinical supervisor approved by the Board of Health Professions? How come you didn't raise your hands earlier? So you're not. You're not. You are. You're not. Okay. They weren't picked for that reason. Okay. I mean, they weren't picked because they're Board of Health profession approved clinical supervisors. Okay. They just came in for something else that day. And I said, while you're here, so they will co-lead. They have had, we've met 4 times so far. Yeah, that's why on the last time we met, it said meeting number 4. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I typically do. I don't ask questions unless I know the answer. Always. Yeah. Yeah. 4 times. So they basically just started the process a little bit sooner. You know, so they've already made some of those little early mistakes that are part of the process. Right? So you guys are starting today. They're only like 3 or 4 meetings ahead of you, so to speak. And you're going to see again why it's okay. So you don't have to be incredibly ahead of your own staff. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, let's keep going. All right. What makes this model work is that it focuses on the 3 most critical parts of the counseling process. And this should be familiar to you guys: assessment, treatment planning, and intervention. How often do you do assessment? Is this something you do once at the beginning? All the time. Like motivational interviewing, you're doing it all the time. You're continually assessing, revising your treatment planning ideas, how you're going to enter your interventions. Because for every place I want to go, if I want to get these 2 to do something, there are many, many ways I could try that. So I'm continually refining that. And because the way I get these guys to do something today may work, doesn't mean it would have worked last week or next week. So what we learn as counselors is we're continually refining how we understand assessment, treatment planning, and intervention as a process. So case presentation, presenting a case, taking it apart, figuring out what's going on, what do we need to do, and how are we going to get that done, is what supervision is. maybe we don't think about it this way. But again, keep in mind what I said. Your role is going to start to shift. It's not just, do I know it? It's going to be, do I understand the mechanics and the theory behind it? That's what's going to change. And that's really what makes things evidence-based. Okay? All right. So let's look at what does make this stuff work as evidence-based practice tools. We're going to use 3 evidence-based tools. All of these are in the research. They're all very important ways of working. First, isn't that the coolest? Sigmunde. That's Sigmunde Freud. So these are all going to be familiar to you. Group supervision. If you look at the research, while it always isn't recommended as a substitute for individual supervision, it's always recommended as an augment to individual supervision. I happen to think that it provides certain benefits you can't get out of individual supervision. When you meet with me, what's our role? That's such a safe answer. But if you think about it, there's a power issue there, an authority issue there. And that's part of the importance of supervision. I'm not saying it's not important. But the difference with group supervision is that there's much more of an opportunity for Martin to not always be the one who doesn't know, to be smarter than somebody else in the group, to hear from the other group members, to share some of the same anxiety. I don't know what to do. He's an angry father. I haven't worked with an angry father before. It's a very, very different way of working. It has tremendous benefit for staff working in group supervision. The second is using genograms. Who's never done a genogram? What makes that wonderful is we can talk about DSM all day long. It doesn't help you understand how to treat. With a genogram, as you'll see today, once you see what's going on, you see so many pathways. It's a holistic way of understanding your client and their relationship system. And it gives you tremendous power in terms of how to intervene, how to work it, to understand. Because everybody comes into therapy with their relationships. That's why we try and be sensitive to employees here. I mean, you have limits. We can't, you can't come late because you had to drop your kid off every time. But we have an understanding that you just don't leave your world behind because you come to work. What you're also going to find out is that the majority of problems people have are relational. So being able to look at relationships is everything. It makes you very powerful as a clinician. Third is role play. Because it's very different if we're talking about something and okay, you're right. You've earned the right. It's very different if Justina has a question and as the facilitator, I can show her how she might do something using Vonda essentially as a prop, as if she might be the client, right? Now you did one just recently. I asked Anthony, who was there, how he found the experience. Anthony is also working with me. And Justina was brave enough to try an intervention, and she did that with me. He said, I could see that it was really helpful to watch her process what she was going to do And at one point she realized, I would have said that differently. And she said, let me rephrase that, and got to redo that same thing. Again, that's what we want to do. We want to make it instructional and a learning experience. All right. What do you need? Required supplies. You need chairs. You need a circle of chairs. You cannot meet around a table. You're going to get points taken away if you do this around a table. Okay? And there's a really important reason for that. Because you talk about a case instead of getting up and reenacting things. You can't do role plays. I mean, you can do some role plays around a table. If this was an interview, why don't you tell me what you would answer for these questions? So there are some things. But what you really want to do is you want to get people up. You want to get your staff up, and you want to give them an opportunity to try something. Okay? So that they feel more comfortable doing that with their clients. Has anybody done sculpting here? I know you have. And you guys tried this last time. It's very different. Don't you? I mean, getting up and getting people in a room to try stuff is scary for us. So we want to get our counselors in the habit of getting more comfortable. You picked up the mic today and you said, I'm normally very nervous. But you grabbed it right away. You're like, I took case management training. Okay, was that your first time doing something like that? Okay, was it now easier getting up and taking that lead today? And that's what we need. If you're a good leader, part of your job is building leadership. That's part of your job. So we want you to help your staff get more comfortable. Okay. Gee, I survived that. Remember the first time you worked with a suicidal client? You were in a panic. The heart was in your throat, and you were like, oh my God, what if they kill themselves because of what I say or what I don't say? Blah, 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 blah. Understandable. After that was over, what did you do? You went around and started bragging about it. You told your mother, yeah, I worked with this guy, he was suicidal. Yeah, well, yeah, it was a little scary, but you know what? I did X, Y, and Z, right? Now you're at a point where you are comfortable enough. It doesn't freak you out if somebody says, well, I'm thinking of taking my life. Helping our counselors to get more comfortable is what it's all about. Yeah, makes sense. Okay. So we need to have a circle, no tables. Always nice to have extra chairs because that's the only way you can turn around and say, well, let's role play this. Let's do that. Or let me show you what an empty chair looks like. Anybody ever done empty chair? Yeah. It's nice to have an empty chair. Where the name came from. Ideally, chairs of different sizes. I always have different chairs in a room, especially when I meet with more than a client, one person, especially with a couple or with a family. I want to see who sits where. Who takes the big chair? How'd they get there? Did she tell him go sit there? Or did he just say? So it's interesting, but chairs become props that help your counselors do better therapy. Now, I want you to be thinking about that because we'll talk more and more and more about that. But it's nice to have that if you can. But of course, look, I mean, I started counseling and worked in school programs, and we used to meet with kids in a book room. I mean, it was basically an outhouse. Hard to have extra chairs in there or under stairwells. You make do. So this is, of course, the ideal. You want a whiteboard or flip chart with markers to be able to write things down and illustrate notes. And you want some case presentation visuals. So today we're going to go through a case. And because everybody's going in a breakout room, we're not going to put it up here. We're not going to put it on a whiteboard. So Demara has made copies of it. And that's fine. When Nicole, when you presented, it was really cool. I was very impressed. You had it on your iPad. And we showed it up there. I was like, damn, how'd she do that? I learned something that day. That was good. Yeah. And when Darylyn presented, you had copies that got handed out. That's fine. Right? Going to have an agenda. Always good to have food. You're going to be authorized to be able to approve snacks and food. Sometimes name tags are helpful. You don't really need them. But we did a sculpting, and there are like 6 people in the sculpting. And I couldn't remember. I'm old. I couldn't remember, like, who's the father? Who is he, the father or the stepfather? And how old is it? Because, when we're doing role play, it's like these 3 women here are the kids. I can't remember which one's 9, which one's 15. I don't know. So you might want to use a name tag to be able to put down 19, 7-year-old, or whatever. Not necessary, but again, things we'll be thinking about and working toward. Okay. All right, now we're going to get into some heavy stuff and then take a break. Okay? Everybody still good? Take a deep breath. No, you can take the breath in here. You don't have to go out for the deep breath intro. It's like, okay. All right, so what's your role as a facilitator? Facilitators direct case presenters to put the genogram up with the information and the reason for presenting. And when we look at case presentation, you're going to see the details. You don't have to know that just now. I just want to know what your role is going to include. So part of it is, I'm going to tell people to present the case. I'm going to encourage team members to get additional information. Right? So we're going to let you gather information from the team. So you tell the team, Martin, put your case up with the information that you already were told you're supposed to be bringing for it. We'll cover what that is. Now, when Martin has put her case up, I will then, as the facilitator, turn to the group and say, you guys got 5 or 10 minutes to ask whatever specific questions you have of Martin for information. Your job is not to advise her. That's the only thing I'm going to jump on, is if you start advising her. Okay? She doesn't really need that. You advise people, you're doing it because you want to impress everybody with how smart. That's part of it. I mean, part of it is you want to be helpful and all this. But there's a problem with that. Especially when it comes from peers. It's like, well, how come she's so much smarter than I am? What am I not getting? So what's better is that you get the information and then you see what we do with it. The facilitator gatekeeps and directs team members, prohibits members from giving advice. And you see, either directly or under the disguise of asking leading questions. Because that's what we do. We get sneaky. We still want to be able to give advice. We can't help ourselves. So we ask it in a way like, well, maybe, if you try, did you have any, like, well, it's like, no, that's giving advice. So your job as a facilitator is don't let them give advice. And then we're going to give you a way to be able to foster critical reasoning. It's called Socratic team method, because part of what you're doing is you're helping people think outside the box. Right. Think outside the box, as Kathy. Right? You're going to help the group generate new ideas, and you're going to start to push them. When you do counseling, are you always following the client, or are you steering them sometimes? Are you oftentimes pushing them? Sometimes it's a little push. The Logan's like, boom, boom, get your ass over there, will you? So people in the class, in the group experience the same way. So you have to get better at pushing. Okay? Because we push for a reason. When you push your client, is it because you just like pushing them? What are you pushing them toward? Work. You're pushing them to work. So as a facilitator, you're pushing the group members to work. How are we going to do that? Much like counseling, the role of clinical supervision is to push for new possibilities. These are the three things we do: brainstorming, drilling down, and role play. How do we do that? Because this is actually pretty simple, and this thing you're going to do all the time. Brainstorming just means that you're looking at possibilities. What if? Can we imagine? Suppose this happened. Drilling down is getting it deeper. So you're going to do X, Y, and Z. Okay, that sounds pretty good. What are you going to do next? And then what do you do? And then what do you do? And then what do you do? Because most of us, you know, if you think about it, well, I'm thinking of leaving her. Okay. I don't blame you. I mean, I don't blame her. I've met her. You need help packing, man. I'm there. I got boxes and everything. I'm thinking of leaving her. Okay. And what are you going to do? Well, I'm thinking of getting my own place. Okay. And then what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to have a good party. Okay. That sounds great, man. I always look for a party. And then what? And then what? And then what? That one simple technique of pushing for the next step is what we normally do. We don't always understand why we do it. And the very simple reason why we do it is because anything anybody's going to talk about that is a big decision, there's mixed feelings about it. And normally what happens is, you know, I got to leave her. You know, I mean, it's just that she's always berating me and making me feel like crap, but my dad loves her. For God's sakes, they're like two peas in a pod. But, you know, he's not the one that's married to her. And she treats me like shit in front of this, and she won't let me do this, this, and this. But she has got a great father. And I think that every time I think about it, so this is what we do. And this is part of the ambivalence that we experience when we're in conflict and have decisions to make. So what we do as counselors is we say, okay, well, before you turn around and head back, if you were going to go in this direction, what would you do next? And then what would you do? And then what would you do? And then what would you do? So we force our clients to go a bit further to better understand the ramifications of their decision or of that choice. Because the more educated any one of us is, the more empowered we are around decision making. If I have a better idea of what the hell is around that corner and what the heck is around this corner, I can tell you this for sure. I got a better idea which way I want to go. This way or I want to go this way. That's part of our job as clinicians, is to help educate about the choices people make and the consequences of those choices. But all we're thinking about is, do you want to be happy? You want to be rich? No, you don't want to be rich? You want more money? Okay. Want to be famous? You want to be sufficiently recognized that people don't step on you? So, you know, we think about things, it's pretty easy. Yeah, I want to be happy. So you meet with a couple, you know, what do you guys want? We want to be happy. We want better communication. Okay. But nobody thinks about, well, what does that investment really take? What are you going to have to do? What are you going to have to sacrifice and change in order to get this outcome you actually want, right? So now it's time for my favorite game. Demara knows what this is. You're right. It's let's stump the therapist. Let's play stump the therapist, brainstorm. Suppose you're working with a couple when one of them suddenly announces that they are having an affair with the partner's best friend. What would you do? Take a guess. I mean, you may not have a lot of time to think about something like that. You're working with a couple, you're going along, you're saying like, hey, man, I'm doing pretty good. You know, they're not getting divorced. We're working on communication. One of them comes in and says, you know what? I'm having an affair with her friend. What do you do? Okay, very good answer. She said, might have to do something to help preserve safety. All right, great. And get some more information, you said, right? Two things, get a little bit more information and assess as part of that for safety. Good. And then what would you do? Now making her work now. Uh-huh. This is make believe, so we're not going to hold you to it. You know, the couple may or may not get better. Whatever you say, I guarantee you this couple will get better. So what are you going to do after you assess for safety and gather more information? Process it with them. Good. Okay. And suppose that didn't work. What would you try next? Let's try this. Suppose you were processing it with me as your couple. How are you going to do it? Sure. You don't mind, right? I mean, there are fates worse than death. And being partnered with me is definitely one of them. Ask my wife for 40 years.
I think what I said before I had the mic is I probably would not continue to have conversations with the mother on the side. I probably would invite her maybe to the next session when I meet with her son so that the son and the mother could have a conversation in front of me, and maybe he could bring up some of his complaints about her and she could talk about some of her feelings or complaints about him.
And once you've done that, what would you do next? Good. Have another chance. Now, I did something different. I didn't ask her more about what she said she would do. I asked Darylyn what she would do based on what Deborah said she would do. So adding on to the story she started and getting you to fill in the next one.
I would continue working with the son and the mom and assisting him with expressing himself to his mom and reasons why that he's feeling like a baby whenever she calls in reference to the updates of his sessions.
And then what would you do?
I would work with him first using role play and practice helping him, supporting him and figuring out what he wants to say, how he wants to say it. And then
Along with the role play, I would possibly do like the empty chair to give him a chance to fully express himself as it relates to his mom.
Not you, not me.
Show us how you would do that. Just turn to over. And role play. Show us how you do that.
Oh, wrong person.
Wrong love, and there's only one.
Okay. So, and I'm just talking to Robert. All right, Robert. Okay. So we're going to do what we call the empty chair. So I want you to envision, we have an empty chair here, and I want you to envision that this is your mom sitting in this chair. I know you've been feeling really anxious and, kind of not good about your mom calling and filling me in on your, updating me on your treatment, and how you've been doing when you're not in your sessions with me. So just pretend that your mom is sitting right here and just tell her exactly how you are feeling. Okay, so this is your time to practice. We are practicing, and you could just tell her exactly what's on your mind. I can't tell you what to say, but I will be here to guide you along the way. If you begin to feel a bit anxious, just take a deep breath. We can stop. Take a deep breath.
So they're practicing empty chair, which actually is a really good technique to get your staff comfortable. Not because you want them to all become experts in empty chair, but it helps train them to having a greater level of comfort working with the client in the here and now. If all you do is give homework, you know what I'm saying? You basically, not that homework's not important, but you have to ask yourself if it's safe enough for the person to be doing it on their own. Why are they discussing it with you here in session? If they could do it, why are they not doing it? Now, sometimes they need prompting, they need encouragement, they need support. That's fine. But you can let them break the ice with you. Your counselor can help them break the ice. All right? And you don't have to be this dramatic. So, no. So, empty chair, since you brought it up, great idea. Empty chair is a very sophisticated technique that is one of the many chair techniques. There's many ways to use a chair, right? And we'll learn those things because they're very helpful. And you always got chairs in your office, and it's fun for people to get it. But so if I was working with her, I might start off very simple. This is a form of empty chair. Well, I know that, your family has said different stuff about it. What's your mom's take?
On the way that she treats you?
Yeah.
I think she means well sometimes and she doesn't understand how. I think she means well sometimes and I don't think she understands internally that makes me feel like I'm 2 inches tall. And I am a grown person and I know how to make choices, but she doesn't support me. She always tries to overcorrect me or what would she do, or she tells me what to do. And then
Tell
Mhm.
how you feel about it. What would you say?
I would say, Mom, I appreciate your help. You've helped me a lot, but sometimes what you think is helpful is not helpful to me, and it makes me feel bad.
So if she was sitting here, let's say she was here with us, what would you tell her?
Mom, don't treat me like a 5-year-old. I'm a grown person.
Let's try something. This is the more intense version. Let's try something. If your mom was here, I don't know you. Could you describe?
Well, she's in her 50s and she's been married to my dad for a really long time. And she's really, I really love my mom. She's a great role model. It's just, oh, okay. So,
So I have a picture.
sure. She's gray haired and she dresses very conservatively and she has, freckles kind of complected like I am and curls like I have.
If she was sitting here, what would she be like?
Oh, Lord. She would think this was like an appointment.
I'm making her more real.
Right.
The more detail in the description, the more real she becomes. Okay, so I did this the first time. We were just making a reference to it. Well, what would your mom have to say about If you could, if she was here, what would you say to her? Let's imagine she is. Each one of those is at a different level of intensity. What I would do is not necessarily start with 1 and then go 2, 3, and 4. But I don't know. She has to show me what she's comfortable with. So right now I see she's comfortable with a 4. So I'm going to go with it. She's sitting here, she's dressed conservatively, she's gray. And how is she holding her hands?
Usually she sits like this
Okay.
or like this.
Okay. Is that like a frown or is she?
No, it's just it's a very natural position
And
for
her
her.
legs, how is her legs?
She would probably just like this.
Just like this.
Yeah, she would sit, she wouldn't cross her
Right.
legs. Well, she may do that.
And her facial expression, is she happy? Is she frowning? Is she?
I think she's maybe wondering why she's here, so it's more of a neutral, but also maybe a little bit of why am I here? Maybe a little anxiety, but not that she didn't have to be dragged here. So she wanted to come, but she might have a little.
If you could talk, what do you think you would say?
I just think I would ask to be respected as a person, a human, and not be treated as a 5-year-old, and let her know. Remember when I would let her know all the successes decisions that I've made on my own, and things turned out well, and that she was worried about, and she tried to steer me another way, but I stayed with my truth and my path. And then, yeah.
Does she treat you like you're 5?
Yes.
That's what she said.
Mm-hmm.
If you could tell her, you treat me like I'm 5, would you be able to tell her? Right. Keep it simple. You treat me like.
Mommy treating me like I'm 5.
Good. Tell her again.
Mom, you really treat me like I'm 5.
Again.
Mom, you treat me like I'm 5.
I'm not sure she. Try it again. It'd be fun.
Mom, when you treat me like I'm 5, it makes me feel really bad. You treat me like I'm a 5-year-old. You don't treat my sister like that.
Wow.
Mom, you treat me like I'm a 5-year-old. I'm not 5. I'm 52. Love it.
All right. So refining technique, because it's very hard. It's very hard. It's easy to read. It's easy to read it. So in terms of what this might look like, I guess the first thing I just want to know before we get into case presentations, is this worse than you thought it would be? Huh? No, okay. Nobody passed out, nobody died. Okay, a couple of people limping. I noticed that, a couple of people limping. And I think there's 2 people that said they're never coming back. But that's to be expected. If you're the manager of your program, make sure you grab one of these before you leave. If every manager has one, then whatever's left, your co-facilitator is welcome to grab one. Again, don't panic. We'll send these out. I mean, this is just a lot of stuff. There will not be a test on it. All right. Everybody ready to burn through case presentation? Good. Oh, what Michelle's like, I'm excited. All right. Okay. So you've all done genogram. So you all have a pretty good idea on what case presentation should look like. All right. So I need 2 volunteers. One person to draw the genogram, and one person to describe the case. Who's done genogram before that wants to be able to do a genogram? Huh? Come on. Okay. All right, so you're drawing a genogram? All right. We're going to give you the big markers. The big markers. All right. Who wants to coach her through it? You've done genogram before? Okay. Is anybody? Okay, so you wanted to be the coach for the genogram.
No. Draw it.
Draw it. Okay. All right. She's going to draw it. Who wants to be the coach? Who's done genogram before and wants to basically? Now, I should make this simple. Okay. If you're going to be the coach, all you really need to do is click this thing and read what it says. Okay? We made it a little bit easier. Now, who wants to be the coach? All right. All right. Okay. I can still be part of the sisterhood, right? I can't? All right. All you're going to do is basically tell her what to do. Okay? Keep it simple. Huh? Yep. Wait, nobody's going to hear you. Hold on. Let me give you the microphone. Oh, come on. All right. You'll notice, just as an aside, that many of the folks I call on don't want to step forward. How many times have I accepted that? None. None. Okay? So it's important because we don't like making people uncomfortable. And when we see that they're uncomfortable, we try and make it okay and we rescue them. But when you rescue people, when you rescue clients from their discomfort, you rob them of therapy. And the same thing is true with counselors who are learning the art of therapy. Right? Yeah.
Can everyone hear me now? Draw a 3-generation genogram of the client and their relationship system. Males are squares, females are circles. Transgender or fluid are represented with a circle inside a square and a description.
Good. Nicole, draw a big genogram. This is just a make-believe thing. We just to practice this and so that you see how a genogram is built. Are you using somebody in particular? Do you want to use?
No, I made it up.
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah. If you've all done genograms, then you know you usually start with the client and you ask, well, this client, who was their mother and father? Who are their siblings? And then you start branching out from there, just like a genealogy tree. Wait. No, she don't have to use that picture. She can do whatever she wants. We're just practicing drawing a genogram. Are you drawing that picture?
No.
Yeah, okay. No, I didn't think she was. Yeah. All you're doing is prompting the team members to start adding the people that are connected to the client. That's really all you're doing. That's a starting point. All right, so she's drawing the structure of who's in the family.
No.
It's getting complicated.
Okay, there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. Now, if she was presenting, she would bring this information in either on a separate piece of paper, like Darylyn did for her case presentation, or on an iPad the way Nicole did. Okay. All right. All right. So normally when you ask somebody to do a genogram, you get one of two things. Either you get so much stuff that you can't read it, or you get a lot of precision. Okay. Right. Right. This is the one. This is the example of a lot of precision.
Oh.
Are you drawing them?
Square.
How do these work? Is it me?
No, it's the markers. No. Okay, it's okay. I don't know what.
Okay.
There we go. Progress.
Okay. Good. Good. Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
Oh, here, this one works. Okay.
Good.
Okay, regenerate.
All right.
Okay.
Add pertinent social demographic data next to each person and relationship, including ages, deaths, marriages, divorces, remarriages, etc.
Just make it up. So now we're layering. These are the people, and these are some important dates.
Yeah.
Did you guys rehearse this? Oh, okay.
Oh, no, I did. Okay. Thank you.
So when you think about it, if I was telling you about a case, so I got this guy I'm working with, and he's having difficulty with his son. Okay, I mean, some of the questions you'd want to know right away is, well, how old is he? How old is his son? I mean, you start asking the same questions, and that's the information you want on the genogram. The things that you want to understand so that you can assess and try and answer the question that counselors are going to pose. It's that simple. It really is. All right. She died at 77. He's 75. Okay. All right. So we're building on this. Okay. Click. Go ahead. Click. Let's aggravate this.
All right.
Okay.
Indicate major primary and behavioral health conditions.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And the reason why is because if she was a substance abuser and he's a substance abuser and he's a substance abuser, you want to understand this as a theme in the family, right? Yeah. You guys are doing great. Especially you, clicking thing. I'm telling you, you got that down, girl. Uh-huh. There you go. There you go. All right. Click again. Okay. All right. All right. All right.
Yes, BPD. Sorry.
Good.
Okay, indicate who lives with who by a dotted circle.
Yeah, use the, maybe this one work?
Yeah.
No, that's not one. Where's the red one?
Yeah, the other side.
Oh, the other side. Okay. All right. So, of course, you not only want to know what are some of the big issues in the family and who are the people, but you especially want to know who's living together. Okay. All right. That's one way of doing it. No, no, no. You're who? Right. So that's okay. That's all right. After I wouldn't have the heart to bring an eraser up to you, but so if you draw a circle around all the people that live together in this family, who's living together? Just draw a dotted line around all of those people. Great. Good. Excellent. Excellent.
All right.
Excellent.
Indicate the condition or quality of the relationship, i.e. stormy, abusive, codependent.
So what she's done now is, so we can see who's here. So you've got these two are married but separated, possibly divorced, depending on what she means by that. I don't see a D for divorce or an S for separated. So I don't know exactly, but she probably would add it, or we could ask about that. These people are living together. Makes me wonder, of course, this one is transgender or fluid. This guy is 29 and this one is 22. So the 3 boys is what they had. So interestingly enough, just by looking at the picture, I'm saying, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4 males grew up in this family. Mom, right? So wondering what that's about. We know they divorced. So you start saying, so what kinds of issues does that kick up for people? He's the youngest, and yet he's not here living with them, but he's got some issues going on. This one's got some issues going on. That one had some issues. She died. We don't know the date here. Dates like when people get married or divorced or die are important because you want to understand. Once you have a sense of what's going on, the question you always wonder as a counselor is, why now? Why did they come in now? If it happened last week, you say, oh, well, that makes sense. By the time they got an appointment, they had to sit through 4 hours of an intake. It's no wonder it took them this long, a week to get in. But normally you hear it's been going on. What changed that all of a sudden, now they're coming in for therapy? And normally what we find is something has changed to catalyze it. Something has changed. Sort of like you've heard the expression, the straw that broke the camel's back? Yeah. There's always something that maybe nudged it that way. And we want to understand what that is, because normally that helps us then figure out what to do. Okay, very good.
All right. Mark the primary symptom bearer or identified patient with an asterisk or a star.
Mark the primary symptom bearer or identified patient. Oh.
Okay, good. All right, great. We good?
Yeah.
All right. Excellent work. No, you did good. No, you want to applaud you. Turn around. Excellent job clicking. Excellent. All you really want to do is, so she's presenting, Nicole was presenting, but the group can't really figure out what they would do. She knows the client. I mean, not in this case, we made it up or she made it up, but if she's presenting, she knows the client. So what we really want to do is make sure that she's providing sufficient information so that the group members can look at it, and instead of asking 100 questions, she puts a lot of those questions answered on the genogram. right? What's really good about a genogram is what did you all do while she was putting it up there? You all were just looking at it, right? Right? It's like watching a movie together. Oh, okay. When you present, you learn that one of the most important things is to have a visual. So people are not staring at you because that makes you more uncomfortable. So we want everybody looking in the same direction. We want everybody looking at the same information, all of it using the same assessment tool, a genogram. Everybody knows how to do a genogram or knows how to do a family tree, or you can learn this in a couple of minutes. Now, there's a lot of there's a lot of symbols that people have developed over time. I honestly don't use any of them. I get so confused. I can't figure out all of these things, all these different lines, and this one's half shaded, this one's partly shaded. I don't understand what that crap means. This to me this is about as bad as I can get. If it's important enough, I'm not interested in everything, not at this point. I'm interested in what is it I need to know right now that will really help me with an assessment. So some of that information is good to know. I don't have a problem if there's more on it, but it's a lot to take in. But your job as a presenter is to make sure that the information that's here would help with the next step. So we get them to do a genogram. What I also want to know is what's the presenting problem? This one is actively suicidal. Okay. Okay. Now, I don't know what they want to work on, but that's what we're imagining as part of the problem is that she is actively suicidal. Okay. All right. Now, a presenting problem is a starting point. That's really all it is, right? But it's a way to begin to organize your discussion with the client. Because what do we normally do? Oh, okay. Well, how long has that been going on? Okay. Because we're working with genograms and we're focused on relationships, we're going to want to know who else is involved. Well, I know that you've been upset. Who else knows about this, that you've been thinking about suicide? Is this the first time? Who was there the last time? What did your mom have to say about it? What did your dad? Well, she died at 47. When was that? How long ago was that? So we start trying to get information by getting a history of the presenting problem. When you take a history of the presenting problem, you find out why now and who. And that actually, believe it or not, is going to tell you almost everything you need to know. But we don't need to worry about that today, because today we're just learning how to set up the structure. So I want to know, what is the upsetment? And what are you looking to do and see come out of therapy? The reason for the referral, reason for seeking therapy, prior history, history of the presenting problem. This tells you when it started, what was going on at the time. What changed it? What was the straw that broke the camel's back? Who participates and how? Because, all right, so who's done family counseling? Everybody know a little bit of family counseling? Whoever participates in the problem helps maintain the problem. So you want to start thinking, how is this person's partner? Anybody ever play, remember that kid game, telephone? So I tell you something. You tell her, you tell her, you tell her, right? So the truth of the matter is, whatever comes out of her mouth at the end has been influenced by what she heard from this one, from this one, from this one. So I want to understand, what is that messaging along the way? How has it changed? What is each person's sense of it? Anyway, nothing to worry about today, but I just want you to get a sense that we start becoming curious. There's ways to understand how to get more out of it. What we also want to know is, why is she looking to present this case? So what I want to know is, where are you feeling stuck? What made you decide you wanted to present this case? Where are you feeling stuck about? I need to know what to do. Just so I have a sense of that, where you want to end up, because part of what you want to do as the facilitator is you want to get people to talk about the case, but at the same time, you've got a Nicole who needs to have an idea when she leaves what she might do, right? So we had a case presented by Darylyn, and honestly, it was a very difficult case. And we had to make a decision about, well, okay, is this learning for the group or helping Darylyn figure out what to do next? So we did a little bit of help for the group. Let's all play a little bit. But then at one point we said, you know what, we have to just sort of stop that and tell her what to do next, because it was just an extremely difficult case. And that's what we did, right? Yeah. Yeah. And it was fine. If I could start anew, here's what I would do. I want to know if she had control of everything. If I could wave a magic wand and everything in this case would be as I wished it, here's what I would want. Who I would want in session. Here's what I would want to see happen. You know, those are the kinds of things. You don't have to ask these questions, but you want to start thinking about, how am I going to get the counselor to start thinking out of the box? Because normally you work with who's here, or you work with who you're comfortable with having here. Right. But that's not always what's best, right? All right. Summary. Everybody meets in a circle. Everyone works off a genogram. Everyone practices role plays. Those are the 3 rules, right? All right. At some point, we'll do some other stuff, which we're not going to worry about today. This is much more sophisticated stuff. Right now, what we're going to do, we talked about this in the beginning, is we're going to take a look at going into our work groups. So let me turn this off. And who's here? Get us to stop sharing. Okay, so thank you. You're welcome. Glad I can help. Yeah, might as well. All right, so, oh no, you know what? I'm sorry. Let's go back to, because I'm not going to remember who's in the groups. I'm not sure any of us do. Stop the therapist. Ah! Okay. All right, so let's start this way. Vonda Michelle. Where is ya? Where is ya? Where is ya? She ran off on you. Oh, that is so cold. Oh, that is so funny. She did one of those. I got to take this call. All right, so Michelle, you've got Yolanda, Deborah, Patrice, Marshall, Vikisha, Bernadette, Nikita, Bernadette, Kia, Bardoro, Mario, who's not here, Logan, Darylyn. If you heard your name, you're with Michelle. So, Michelle, you want one of the small group rooms, or do you want the whiteboard room? Okay. Who's got the genograms? Okay, so you have one, or you have enough for everybody? Okay. All right, so you're gonna draw the case as opposed to everybody seeing the genogram. Yeah. Okay. However you want to do it. Okay. You know, there's a Xerox machine outside. If you want everybody to have it right in front of them so you don't spend the time drawing it, that's fine too. I don't remember how complex it was. So whatever works for you. Okay. All right. So who is with Michelle? So we're very polite people, but what we want to say is get out. Go on and get. Get next door. Get. All right. Justina and Michelle. Michelle. Justina. Collect your people. You've got, well, you can tell who you've got. They can read. Make sure you got your.
See your program.
Okay. All right. So Megan and Candy, Shay, Elizabeth, Katrina, Robin, Paula, Winter, Tiffany, Kristen, Shakia, Justin, Loria. CTH, Skip, Suffolk, ACT Community, SMVF, ACT Cove, Hybrid Access. All right. So you know where the two group rooms are here? Just say, you know where the two group rooms are? Pick one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they're comfortable. They're small. It's a little tight. You'll be in each other's space, but it's okay. Okay, so let's see. Karen, where are you, Karen? Come on up, Karen. Karen is going to be working with me and Martin. We're going to stay here. So we've got Sheila, Kathy, Cassandra, Richard, Charmaine, Tiffany, Trevor, Latasha, Renee, Brianna, Heather, Charlie, and Yolanda. SAIOP, IO White, MHLP, case management, Suffolk case management. Well, you guys can see that, right? Yeah, that's what she basically said, right? Okay, so who does that leave? That leaves Demara. All right, Demara, do you prefer to stay in here in the big room, and I'll go over there with these folks? Yeah. Right. Right. Who's going in the other room? Demara, you going in the other room?
Yes.
Okay. That's how many groups do we? How many groups is that? Why am I?
Four.
That's four.
What time are they coming back?
Did you give them a return time?
But how many rooms did we have? We had 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, okay, good. All right. So everybody else that's staying here is stuck with me and Martin and Karen. Is this right?
I'll take it. Mary will take a while.
Yeah, if you're in our group, be sure you want to be in this group. Sheila, you in this group? Yeah. Come out wherever you are. Hi. Good. Okay. Now I will, where's, Karen, when you get a chance, can you click off the whoosy whatsies? Demara's group is too big to go into the capiche. Okay. All right. Oh, this is a nightmare. Okay. Okay. All right. All right, so, who is here with Martin, Karen, and me? Everybody here, right? Okay, so let's do this. Let's just get into a smaller circle. Yeah. Good. 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 Let's just watch people's coffees. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. That's all right. All right. I have no idea. Somebody's very good. For sure, we want to turn these lights on. Yeah. All right. Okay. Who else is in this group? Ah. Come on. Come on. Come on in. Come on in. We're going to start real slow and easy. We don't want to freak out anybody. Everybody's already worked hard. Can you just scooch just a bit back so we can just sort of, yeah, everybody can see one another. Everybody good? Okay. All right. So let me close the door there. I want you to just think about how freaky you feel about this whole thing. Are you with this group or that group? So just so I'm clear, some of you are the manager. Oh, well, why don't we go around the room? And if you could do a couple of things, just introduce yourselves again. Tell everybody what program you're with. Maybe mention the size of the staff of your program so that we understand some of the challenges you may have in terms of doing a model like this or doing group supervision. And as the manager, you've already had a role telling people what to do, when to do it, and all of that good stuff. But your co-facilitator may not have, right? So has anybody here not got their co-facilitator with them today? Right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. So you're carrying the weight and the burden all on your own. Well, that's good that you were here though, because normally as a manager, you have a sense of authority that is in a title manager. And because you do people's performance evaluations and the staff are told, this is your manager, you got to do what they say, right? Whereas if you're not the manager, if you're a team lead, not so bad. But if you're just one of the clinicians, it's kind of freaky to take and step into a role where you may be seen more as an administrator or authority or leader. So just so I'm clear, who is not a manager? Just show me your hand. Okay, I know. Okay, keep your hand up if you would, just for a minute. Have you ever been in a position where you feel comfortable directing others? Does anybody not feel comfortable that way? You're comfortable with it? Anybody not feel comfortable with it? Right. Right. Right, right. Yeah, yeah. 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 Absolutely. Absolutely. And Heather said it, Heather nailed it. I mean, stepping up from your own program with peers that now you're supervising is probably the most difficult role to step into. It's the hardest role to step into. Yeah. What makes the role easier or harder is a couple of things, including the number of people you have to supervise, how difficult the work is. Because the more you got to tell people about doing stuff that they don't really want to do, that most of us really wouldn't want to do a lot of, but we don't mind doing some of it, is always a difficult job. But it's the people that make the job difficult. I mean, if the people that, do everything that needs to be done and don't complain about it and are happy about it, the job is a lot easier, right? Of course, we probably wouldn't need managers then. So that's also why you're learning some stuff in terms of how to get better at the disciplinary process and all of that other stuff. Hey, I oh, do they need it? Oh, yeah. No. Oh, because I'm so loud? Right. I knew you were walking. No, it's not on. Tell them I turned it off. Lie. Yeah, tell them I turned it. Yeah, it was on. Yeah. Yeah, it's off now. So it's the reason why we want you to co-facilitate. And you can complain about the process. You can say, we're stuck doing this, whatever makes it easier. But honestly, I think once they get a sense that it's not as scary, right? So do you feel as nervous as you did when I said this is going to be on your shoulders? Do you feel a little bit better now that you saw what it really means? Anybody feel worse? Let me ask it that. You're not sure. You're like, I don't can it get any worse? I mean, it's like, okay. And you know what? You will grow more comfortable. And trust me, down the road, you will get more and more comfortable to the point where you will also gain a level of comfort taking the lead with other people's staff. And if you haven't already done it, you'll get comfortable taking the lead and doing professional presentations and teaching. You don't get there right away. Now, you may not want to. So, when I was coming up, it was a big deal, to do the big work. So, the big work was you walk into an audience of 50, 150 people and do these things with everybody. You don't get there right away. But that's what we were aiming to do. And that was different back then. That's how work was done more. So back then, when somebody came to present, they always presented and worked in front of you with a live client. We don't do that anymore, which is tragic to me. Because the truth of the matter is, I got better by watching my supervisor work. And that was his obligation to not just say, let me see you do this. So he modeled what to do. And I got to see what it looked like. And when you sat down and watched some people who were out in the field do it, it was like, oh, damn, that's how you do it. Okay. I can give that a try. And we don't do that anymore, which is tragic. But that's also why we don't always have that strong foundation that we really want to build on.